Welcome to the Real Advisor Podcast, TRAP, TRAP. Please follow us and join in the conversation on Twitter @Advisor Podcast, where you can suggest ideas and themes you'd like the TRAP team to discuss. Also remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a 6 out of 5-star review on iTunes. Doing all this really helps us, which means we can do more to help you. Now let's head over to the studio for the latest pile of TRAP.
Yes, indeed, dear trappers. Welcome back to what many people are calling episode 104, the Eni Quattro of the Real Advisor Podcast, TRAP, Trap. My name is indeed Lick Lincoln, and joining me, the band's back together, joining me once more in the digital studio of doom are the three other horsemen of the apocalypse. Andy Ultra Heart in a secret location, Alan the Storyteller Smith in Kilburn South, and Carl the Voice Delavocci Widger in very lush, probably, Southwest Ireland or environs. Gentlemen, welcome back to episode 104. We have a show packed. Penny's cat has started already. That's a good start. We have a show packed full of absolutely nothing, so let's get this unpacked straight away with another high-energy review read read out by my very good friend, the Right Honourable Mr. Andrew Sane Hart.
Yeah, it's great to be back. A big shout out to Keith Button for stepping in, super sub. He did very well, so that was all good. Right, onwards to the review. Adrian Pope, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, 6 or even 7 stars. Well done on 100 episodes. After listening to the latest one, I went back and listened to episode 1 just to see how well you have progressed. My one observation is I'm disappointed that you no longer refer to Carl as Wild West Widger. Keep going. You are badly needed honest voice in this thing of ours. And whilst I may not always agree with what's said, I love that you say it as it is. I've been in this industry for 38 years now and wish this podcast had been around in my formative years. New advisors are fools if they don't listen to you religiously. Back to you, Nicholas.
Can we bring back Wild West Widge?
You cannot. In fact, we had a fairly significant argument about that, where I threw the toys out of the pram.
I do recall.
There wasn't toy throwing, but we took it in good stead, and we did it. We did it indeed. Thank you very much, Adrian Pope. The only English pope was Adrian Breakspear back in the 12th century, and he lived in Abbots Langley up the road where I grew up, and there are 3 roads called Adrian Road, Pope's Road, and Breakspear Road. There you go. There's your little tidbit of knowledge for the next dinner party when you're sat next to somebody's really boring and you want to get the conversation back on a sexy sizzle of a level. Okay, let's start unpacking episode 104. That was a great review, by the way. Thank you, Adrian. So let's put a timestamp on 104, rather. So as ever, just to let you Trappists know, because I know you're all itching to go on this agony fest that we're somehow signed up for, Vanguard Tough Mudder on Friday, the 18th of September. Link in the so-called show notes. Do sign up. You can sign up as an individual and or as a team. Certainly myself and Storyteller are going to be there. Carl is going to be there. Andy's got some weak excuse about being on a different continent, but we'll take that in good faith. So do sign up for that. And what other stuff are we doing in the world of Trap, Carl? Because our empire is burgeoning.
I wouldn't say that, but we do. However, we do have Trap Forum, which is picking up a pace nicely. There's lots of interaction from various people, so thank you to everybody who is engaging in that. It is going really well, but we'd love people to sign in and get involved. Andrew, you're making hand signals. It's very disconcerting whilst I'm talking. Is there something you'd like to say, Andy, before I
It's like a little bit of a crackle. Sorry. Can you hear that, Nick?
No, sorry, it's Penny's pushy. She's having her food from her food bowl and it's clattering. She'll be gone in a second.
Is that what it is?
Sorry.
Okay. It sounds like static.
Sounds like static. Yeah, okay, let's move on.
Well,
Sorry.
it's not me, so...
Okay.
The other thing I would like to say is we've had this grand idea of perhaps doing a trap retreat, and I'm actually in the middle of checking all of that out, and we perhaps will have some details to share, but because this is trap, it won't be fast, so bear with us. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I'm getting, and I know you guys as well, are getting lots of messages from interested Trappists who are looking maybe to have some time with us or just talk, about various stuff offline. And look, whilst we would love to do that, well, we're all running fairly busy businesses and also we're all running very busy lives. And look, we just don't have the wherewithal to do that. So look, stand by, and maybe we'll have some news on a trap retreat at some stage, and you would get obviously FaceTime for a few days at that with all of the trap pack. But failing that actually materializing, and I'm not promising anything, I'd say the Trap Forum is a really, really great place to get involved and ask your questions, because not only will we be able to engage with you on the Trap Forum, loads and loads of other really well-heeled advisors will also be able to engage with you there. So, look, just to mention that today.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a brief follow-up to that. I must admit, this was Carl's idea, so blame him if it all goes wrong. But the idea of doing, I don't know, you call it a retreat, an off-site, going away when there's enough time and space, that's the one thing most of us haven't got a lot of. But when you've got a dedicated, 2 or even 3 days getting together and talking about the issues of the day, the challenges, the opportunities, and what have you, with a like-minded group of, fellow Trappists and people who are all very, professional and intentional and ambitious and all those things. I think, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. If you get the right group of people in the room, I've certainly been on that sort of thing in the past in my career, and I found a lot of benefit from it. I think at this stage, Carl, it's fair to say, we're just testing, is there any appetite for this? You're right. We all get a fair amount of inbound, and we get a lot of requests for, look, can I meet for a coffee? Can I buy you lunch? Can I do this and that? And as you say, we'd love to do all these things, but the reality is time precludes it. But if we're serious about this, and everyone who participates want to set aside a couple of days, maybe go abroad, maybe go over to wherever, Spain or Portugal or someone, have a couple of days in a half-decent hotel and really thrash out some of these important things. I think it could be good. So if people are interested, then, reach out and sort of suggest, without any commitment at this stage, that could be something subject to timing, price, etc. If you were going to be interested, I think it's no more than probably about a dozen people, to be realistic. Not too many more than that.
Maybe a little bit more than that. We did do a shout out on this before, and we probably got 8, 9, maybe even 10 people saying I'm interested, without them knowing prices or agendas or anything like that. Look, the reason I'm passionate about doing something like this is I have spoken about the Munster High Performance Leadership course that I went on all those years back. It transformed not only my professional life, it also transformed my personal life. And I think having the right people in a place whereby everyone has chosen to invest money to go away and make themselves better, I think it's unbelievably powerful. And I am aware of another group who's done this recently, and the feedback from it was really, really good. So look, let's investigate it. Obviously, what we'll have to come with is, well, here's how much it's going to cost. Here's what it's broadly speaking going to look like. Are you interested? And at that stage, then we'll get much more serious about it. I think I'm probably about 2 months away from having those kind of details, but hopefully this side of Christmas anyway, we'll have the details ready to share with people.
Okay. And we're looking to do it later on in 2027, aren't we? We're looking to do it September, October sort of time. Yeah. So that's the rough dates, but obviously we'll get further details to you. It does make me laugh when I think of your...
Mark out September and October in your diaries, just for us, on the chance that it may happen. Right, moving forward, Ultra. This is probably going to be bad news if you value your property.
It does make me laugh of thinking about Alan on his silent retreat. That's the gift that keeps on giving, that one. Okay, so this is property related. So we've spoken about this quite a bit. I have many clients at the moment trying to sell properties and can't. Lots of prices being reduced. It's definitely a buyer's market. We've spoken about the situation with flats in London. Anyway, we could do a little bit of a pop quiz. The UK's most and least affordable places to buy. And it's got basically the full breakdown. If you're into sort of property data, it's worth clicking the link. It's basically at the moment across the UK, price to earnings ratio in terms of income versus the prices of average houses is 6.9 times. The most affordable area is Scotland, various places in Scotland. The most expensive area
Don't
is
laugh, Nick.
obviously London. And it's basically the
I
north-south
moved from
divide.
the most affordable to the least affordable. That was a great move.
You did,
by
Alan.
me.
You did. You did. And talking about that, so Inverclyde is the cheapest place to buy, 3.1 times price ratio. And the most expensive is obviously Kensington and Chelsea. The price to earnings ratio in Kensington and Chelsea is 23.9. The medium salary is 52k, and an average house there is 1.256 million. Yeah, just a bit of as I say, property data if you're into that sort of stuff. So yeah, check it out in the link.
I've seen there's been a lot of this stuff. I think there's an increasing amount of data, I think, now becoming available. So there's a lot of I've seen a lot of this stuff written online recently, and I've just got to come back to the same old thing that if you were talking about the stock market over the last 3 or 5 years, you wouldn't get too het up by either the returns were really good or the returns were really bad. It tends to be a lifetime thing. If you look at property over, let's say, 2 decades, 20 years, the data confirms that it broadly keeps pace with inflation on average. Some is a bit more than inflation, some is a bit less, depending on the part of the country. It's the law of supply and demand. There is a finite number of properties. We know we've got a huge shortage of properties in this country. And yeah, the last few years, maybe prices got ahead of themselves. There's a lot of issues around leaseholds, especially in and around London. Right now, it can be a challenge. Leaseholds can be very expensive. So yeah, over the last few years, and like all things, if you're in a position where you really want to sell something, whether it's a property or anything else, and the market's against you, well, that's a challenge. If you're playing the long game, there's no urgent need to sell. But broadly speaking, property keeps up with inflation, or CPI, shall we say, that version of inflation.
Yeah.
Okay, Carl.
Yes.
Next point.
Next point. What's the next point?
How to stand out with your communication. Oh, bloody yeah. What's the next point? How to stand out with your communication. Kyle Penn.
Kyle Penn, right. So I received a referral from a Trappist over the last couple of weeks from a guy called Kyle Penn. Really great guy. He sent us probably an ideal client for Meta. So thank you very, very, very much for that, Kyle. Really appreciate it.
Was that the one I introduced to you, Carl, or another one?
Well, no, he was already looking for me, but then you gave him the email address. Yeah, so Kyle did come
You're welcome.
to me, Andy. But yeah,
You're welcome.
No problem at all. Yeah, thanks, Kyle, for listening to Trap and coming across to us like that. Anyway, I linked in with Kyle. I had a really lovely conversation with him, and I looked at some of his LinkedIn posts. Now, Kyle is on all sorts of other social media, so it's not only you don't just find his stuff on LinkedIn, but that's obviously the only one I'm on. And do you know what? Kyle does not necessarily look exactly like your average financial advisor, and his messaging is really, really, really succinct. It's really probably niche in that he's focusing in on the point about being ready for a purposeful retirement. And it's not like all of the other content I see from all of the other financial advisors out there, which is possibly a little bit boring. And then the people who try to be a little bit daring are coming across a little bit like the Wolf of Wall Street. We all know probably a few of those that we've seen. I thought Kyle's was very authentically himself. He's very much himself in the videos. I think the message is really, really clear. It's really, really consistent. And I just thought everybody should have a look at Kyle's LinkedIn videos, because how you put across your message does not need to be the same as everybody else. And therefore, if you're brave enough to be your authentic self, which clearly Kyle is, well, then you can stand out from the crowd and you will attract your tribe, because I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. And I just thought it was like nothing I'd seen before. So truly unique and truly original. Although the messaging is probably a lot of what we're talking about here and what we've all put out. So I would encourage everybody, be brave, be your authentic self, and don't be afraid to be exactly that. Be yourself. And bravo, Kyle Penn, you legend. Absolutely brilliant.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Authenticity does really count in this. This is why AI should never do your communications for you, because people will see through it. You've got to write and speak in your own voice, or voices in the case of me. So, right, I haven't got much on episode 104 to contribute. I've been away on holiday for 10 days. It's the dog days of summer. So I'm going to go and just abuse my position as the world's greatest moderator and say I run a fantasy football, NFL fantasy football league. If you want to join, there's a link in the so-called show notes. You've got about 3 days after this comes out on Thursday to do so, because we're holding our draft on Sunday at 5:30 in the afternoon. That's me done. Right, Smithy. Business property relief schemes.
That's NFL. Is that American football?
Yes. The stuff the Scots don't play. Oh, you don't play any football, do you? Sorry, I forget. You don't play any football, no. Just Celtic and Rangers, and the rest of the country is just...
We do. I remember Scotland did have an American football team. I think they were called the Claymores, or Glasgow or Scotland Claymores, but they may have gone out of business. I'm not sure, but I do remember.
There was a Scottish franchise years ago. Yeah,
there's an NFL game on it might be a college game actually. It's on in Ireland. It's on every year, and they sell out Croke Park, so they get 82,000 people at it.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Apparently, it's really popular.
I think you had the NFL came last year. I think the NFL now they play in England, they play in Spain, they play in Germany, and I think they're going to play regularly in Ireland.
Wow, amazing, crap sport.
Amazing. I wanted to raise this. I discussed with Andy anyway, whether we should do a whole kind of meat and potatoes about this, because quite a big issue, affects a lot of advisors, not necessarily anyone, or most of us anyway, around this particular table. I just saw a lot of comment reporting on specifically, business property relief, inheritance tax planning schemes, and specifically Octopus. Now, Octopus are one of the biggest players in the marketplace. I've got no strong sort of feelings for or against Octopus, but I think they're the biggest in this marketplace. I do know a lot of advisors historically have used this type of scheme, continue to use this type of scheme, and as the market leader, or one of the market leaders, do a lot of work with Octopus. But it was the Telegraph that were running a whole series of reports about this. And so when our sort of day-to-day world hits the kind of mainstream media, you begin to pay a bit more attention to it. And it was just that Octopus Investments have got this scheme under the name of Fern Trading, the underlying investment company. 3.2 billion, which is not a small amount of money, 18,000 investors, been operating for more than a decade. And without going into all the sort of whys and wherefores, it does look a bit, if you believe what the Telegraph article, and then subsequent, our own sort of trade press picked up on this, it does look very murky. Where, for example, Fern made loans to two companies that they also owned. They lent 64 million to a private hospital group, which ran into difficulty and suffered a 42 million pounds loss. Also lent money to a retirement village developer, where that whole loan had to be written off. They're coming in for a lot of, commentary, most of which is negative about these things. We know that these can, although it's getting sort of less attractive now, but they can provide tax planning benefits. But when you see this sort of coming up, and 18,000 investors, and I'm going to guess that on average they are they're older than average, when inheritance tax becomes more of an issue, and could be quite elderly type people. I'm just sort of raising this as a discussion point. I think I'm right in saying, Andy and Nick, in terms of the UK advisors here, haven't really dipped your toe in this world. I know that we haven't. We've inherited a few over the years, but we've never really proactively got behind it. I mean, on a personal basis, I always had some doubts about it, about the whole structure. And yes, you can get carried away on the face of it. There are some beneficial, tax angles on it. But, like everything's a trade-off. But it's interesting, while the chicken's coming home to roost, are these things finally beginning to fall apart? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Andy?
I thought it was interesting that the average investors got about 177,000 of 18,000 investors. Yeah, they're probably likely to be a lot older. It's this whole tax, tail wagging the dog and all that stuff. And with these schemes, you've got to own them forever. They qualify within 2 years, but then you've got to hold this guff forever. and the lost opportunity just on normal investing, it doesn't really stack up. You might as well just invest in a global equity portfolio, get a great return over 10, 15 years that will absolutely smash the returns on this. I think they're trying to mirror inflation, aren't they, Alan, or 3% a year?
That's the plan. Net of fees, and the fees are punchy, to say the least.
The fees are punchy. Yeah, they
fees
pay
are ongoing fees. But that's the target, just to keep pace with inflation.
Yeah, so I generally avoid them. Again, that's the other skill of great financial advisors. We try and avoid things that are going to cause our clients, a high lot of friction, high lot of hassle, and not working.
Andy, the ultra-crepidarian Andy, he knows about everything. Andy can't be told anything. His name is Andrew Hart. Andrew Hart!
Oh, thank you, Nicholas.
Carl,
Over to you, Nicholas.
Do you have this sort of scheme in Ireland? Do you have much
No, that's not my hand raised,
experience?
Alan. That's not my hand raised there at all. That's just something you are imagining on your screen. So,
Go on.
Yeah, don't sit on the fence, Nick.
Go on, Carl. Carl.
Are these like EIS schemes? Is that
Yeah.
what you're talking about?
Yeah.
No, slightly different.
No, they are in the same ballpark. Yes, for the ease of clarity and communication. Yes, they are.
Yeah, I did 2 of them before myself. I lost all my money in both of them. I'm not a great fan. There's a great story that I can't tell about,
Publicly.
about one of them that went pear-shaped, but basically...
On the trap retreat, Carl. On the trap retreat.
Yeah, on the trap retreat.
There we go. That doesn't entice people along. I don't know what...
Yeah, no, so but I have clients who are like, ringing us up going, can you get us an EIS? I need to get an EIS. And it's like, I don't care what the EIS is. I just want the tax write-off. And you're going, well, yeah, you get the tax write-off, but, you'll kind of, that's over a couple of years. And I don't just find me one. And you're like, no, we won't. There's no way. There's a couple of fairly significant places doing EIS, a kind of funds, a fund of funds. So you'll have a whole bunch of them together. And that's probably a little bit better than just doing an EIS into the guy down the road who's decided.
Well, double layers of fees as well. So
I do genuinely have a couple of great stories on that. But
but it's an expensive lesson, well learned,
in the retreat. Yeah, but I did learn my lesson, and never, ever again. Never again. No.
So I've never done an advised VCT or anything in this area at all. Every time I look at it, it gives me the willies. VCTs, I guess, are the least toxic, but that market has got to be gone now. Now the tax relief, I think, is down from 30 to 20% going in. You've still got all the pain in the arse from that moment on, and it's funny. It's like I've heard lots of stories from IFAs, horror stories, when they've done like 1 or 2 BPRs years ago, and they wish they'd never done it. I don't really hear many success stories with these products. So an IFAs normally would like all of us, we like to crow about things that have gone well. We don't tend to sort of publicise when things haven't gone so well. And I just don't hear the good stories from these things ever. And I just think that we were we used our intuition and our skill to shield our clients from this. And that is a big part of being a good advisor. For whatever reason, none of us in this room have put it through our business, our regulated businesses. And I would not want to be in the situation of being a regulated advisor who's given advice to do this, and now you're trying to explain to clients what's going on. It's murky upon murky. And then, a fund of fund EIS, okay, maybe you're ameliorating the risk a little bit, but of course what you're doing is adding another layer of those expensive fees on top already for a product that barely keeps pace with inflation, if at all. And once you write off the tax rebate and everything else, I don't know. I just think there, by the grace of God, go I. Because for whatever reason, I never recommend them to clients.
Just another point to add to this. I think advisors, we can get caught up in the moment. It can be an attractive opportunity if you've got a very, tax sensitive client, and you say, well, I've got one of these, or I've got one of this other type of product. But a couple of things to bear in mind. Number one, and I just know this from our own experience and reporting. When you come to renew your professional indemnity insurance, I'm telling you, it's so nice to just tick the box. Do you have any of the following? And you give you a big, long list of, your usual suspects. Yeah. Have you recommended this? Have you advised on that? If yes, to what extent? And to just go, no.
It gives you insight, Alan. It gives you insight into all the things to avoid.
Oh,
It's
for
literally
sure.
a
And
list
if
of
you see
15
now,
products that you think, I
Yeah.
definitely don't want to get involved in these ever, especially now and after
That's
report.
actually-
Well, clearly,
that's a
I
great
think
point.
you and I, we can talk about this and we like them or we don't like them, and that's just kind of a subjective opinion. But people that are managing risk, it's the same in the bond market, the insurance market. Those that are carrying the can for when it goes wrong, those are the ones that will determine whether this is a good idea or not. And if you say, yes, we do a load of this type of product, I can assure you the cost of running your business will be significantly greater. And you wonder whether there's enough trade-off in terms of the additional commission, because it is a commission really, that you manage to secure versus the additional costs and risks of running your business. And the other thing worth bearing in mind is that I've spoken to a number of advisors who've gone through an exit on this, and that is part of your diligence. Your buyer comes in and says, right, let's open the books, let's look at all your products and services, and they, of course, they'll immediately mark that down as being, this is a risky part of your business, and they may exclude it from your business valuation, they may chip away at your valuation, or they may ask you through the, what do they call them, we can't know about this, but the warranties and various other things, if we get a complaint about this the next 3 to 5 years, you're on the hook for it. So I think sometimes you've got to step back from the immediate, wow, this looks kind of sexy and it's a tax saving wheeze, to think strategically as a senior person or a business owner and say, how is this negatively going to impact my business? Overall, I see more negatives than I do positives.
I always think when I do my PR, and I come to that, my PI even, and a PR, there's a fraud, just let my PI, I come to that page about have you written this toxic stuff and all these categories. And I always mentally label that as the JJ page. JJ, of course, a close friend of the show. He'll know
yes.
what that means.
We're a close relative of his. He recommended every single one of them, and he's paying the price still.
Yeah.
God bless you, JJ. We love you.
I'm trying to get the list up, Nick, on my PI renewal, to see if I can read out the things to be avoided. Oh, I've got it here. Have you done any structured products, any geared or leverage investments, exchange traded products, any unregulated investment or scheme, tax mitigation schemes such as VCT, EIS or BPR, bridging finance, peer-to-peer lending or crowdfunding, QROPs, traded life policies, life settlements, viatical funds, hedge funds, absolute return funds, discretionary portfolio management, acting as a pension trustee, investments in residential property.
I mean,
That's
just
your
reading that out,
ready-made
Andy,
list
that
of
makes me
things.
come out
That
in a
is,
sweat.
don't get involved in any of that stuff.
Making me come out in a sweat hearing that kind of stuff. But there will be firms out there, especially multiple RI firms that don't have a centralised investment proposition or didn't have a centralised investment proposition, weren't doing financial planning, who 15 years ago were doing this stuff as almost a regular part of their business. And you're thinking, oh my giddy aunt, I just don't know how you could.
But that's the point. That underwriter, that insurer is just, they're qualifying your risk. They're understanding, quantifying, qualifying. They're saying if the answer is yes, we will A, want to know a lot more information, and B, it's going to cost you, because there's no question you're running a riskier business.
It's funny how absolute return funds are in there. Again, something else we avoid. It's advice of admission, isn't it? As in the things that you haven't done that our clients don't see. And it says, if you have done any of these, if you got yes to the above, please provide the details of the products used and the size of the investments on page 6.
Guys, I did almost every single one of those in my career. Right?
And you're still here.
No, full disclosure. And that's why I went out my own in 2010 and said, right, I am never, ever,
And you don't think we should bring back Wild West Widger?
Yeah, I know, exactly.
But it's
that was the old call.
Full disclosure, like if you don't learn from your mistakes, right, then you're really at nothing. And from 2010 onwards, right, probably there was nothing happening in Ireland between 2008 and 10. But from 2010 onwards, I just went, I am not getting distracted by anything. And the amount of times in that period that people went, oh my God, you are such a dope. You know, you're leaving so much money on the table. And by God, it stood to me. So like, as I always say, if you're asking your clients to look to the long term, well, you and your firm need to look to the long term too. And that means that you have laser focus on what you're going to do, and you just leave out all the bullshit. And it just made my life just so much easier. I didn't have any crap to be dealing with, and so be it if I left some stuff on the table. I don't think it worked out too badly in the end. But like it would be remiss of me in this conversation not to say, mea culpa. Like Ireland in the early 2000s, like we were doing everything. You know, I've spoken to you guys about. I was selling villas down in Portugal at one stage. I was like, But you gotta, and hopefully people can learn from my mistakes and go, okay, there's a guy who's been there, done that, and it was mental torture, like trying to clean up those messes. It really, really, really was. So don't do it. Do not do it.
It's echoing your point there, Carl. So perhaps I was informed by my experience at my previous IFA firms. I've only been at 2 firms, and I joined my first firm in 2001, and they were decent. They were decent people, a decent firm, but they did have this thing about going to seminars and being sold the shiny latest thing, and they did get involved in zero dividend preference share funds. You remember those? I think they dabbled a bit with student-let accommodation stuff. And then I'd look at these things unwind a year or 2 in or 3 years in and think, I must have internalized that. So when I went out in 2008, I thought, I know what I want to do and I know what I don't want to do. And what I saw from my previous firm, that element of it is definitely very high in the do not want to do part of my life. So there.
And us going to mastermind groups like IX, we hear all these horror stories in the room. One of the main reasons I go there is to hear all the shit to avoid. I don't really get too many great ideas. It's just, all right, avoid that. That's a disaster. Thanks for sharing that. Why did you get involved in that? It's more learning about all the mistakes of other advisors. So good point.
Yeah, definitely.
I think just to tie a bow on this, but I think it is a potentially very big subject. If you approached the work we do, like full fat financial planning, from first principles, or what you're trying to do is really distill it all down. You're trying to create security for your clients, peace of mind, all those things. And that is called financial independence, financial freedom. You've got sufficient free cash flow to live the life according to the terms you want to live it on. And that's it. And the way to achieve that, you should also try to achieve that in the most simplest, lowest risk, if you like, lowest complexity. If I can get all those things for my client whilst being relatively straightforward and daily liquidity and just legitimate HMRC approved tax structures, etc., then why would I want to add complexity to it? If you believe what the end result we're trying to achieve is.
Yeah. Final point on this, Alan. We personally don't get involved in EISs, VCTs, BPR products for ourselves personally. So if you are selling this stuff to clients, I think it's a bit more authentic if you actually buy these products yourselves. And a lot of advisors that do sell these do invest in themselves. And also SJP does a lot of work in this space. They're probably the biggest seller of these schemes. So all those companies...
They were named in that article.
Very well. Is that firm still taking on new clients, Alan?
No, they've suspended it for the moment. They've suspended everything, like new business in and any money coming out. So I think it's what you call under review, to say the least. But just to pick you up on that quickly, Andy, I, on a personal basis, have invested personally in EIS, but that's an entirely different thing.
We know the people, we know the founders, we know the individuals.
As you have, basically fintech startups, and
but we know the founders.
I get a tax break on it. That's an entirely different thing to saying I want to invest in a tax favored product. What's the underlying company that you're going to invest in? That's an entirely different thing. If you like putting a bit of money into interesting new startup companies, and you get the tax break, but I'd have done it anyway, with or without the tax break. Yeah, that's another conversation. Okay.
All right, that was a good topical tidbit. Okay, so I've got to do a drop for Revolut. I have to work out what it's going to be. Anyway,
I think we should probably replace the PRSA corner with Revolut corner. These guys.
PRSA corner.
Revolut.
Carl, before you go off, it's actually Ultra first on Revolut, and then you, my friend.
Yeah, I've got two points on Revolut. Carl will have a third point. They are absolute guns blazing, this company. They are absolutely taking over the world. I think they're going to be one of definitely, if not the biggest neobank in the world. They're advertised all over the airports. I'm in Portugal at the moment. They're plastered all over Faro Airport. And they're just now getting involved in actually opening their own airport lounges. They're opening their own airport lounge in Copenhagen in 2027. And 2 weeks ago in Albania, I went to the lounge and my mates got their Ultra pack. So Revolut do something called Ultra. They've got all these different tiers of membership, which again is amazing. So if you are a big user of Revolut, as you are, Carl, They have this Ultra pack that is really good. I personally am not doing it because I use the services of all the other stuff elsewhere, but it's definitely worth checking out. So yeah, Revolut keep doing their thing, and it's great that they're obviously UK, even though the founder has shipped himself offshore to save a few quid, and it's not. You can't blame him if he's going to save a couple hundred million.
As long as you're going to Copenhagen, you can enjoy this exciting new Airport Lounge episode of the the Real Advisor podcast. Wodge, what's your point?
Well, you can use the Dublin Airport Lounge. So they are opening up their own lounge, but if you go into the benefits in the section, there's a whole.
You get it free if you've got the Ultra,
Yeah, and you can just use them free. Do you know how hard it is to set up a direct debit mandate? It's just a pain in the ass, and you got to prove whatever, right? So I just set up that I'm going to pay my kids rather than giving them Revolut whenever blah blah blah. I've just said, right guys, every Sunday I'm going to give you your weekly, and I literally in the app went into the calendar, schedule payment, boom, pick the name, and away you go. Like, I mean, they're transforming, they're disrupting banking.
Everything,
right? They really are, and the Premier League is back, and I'm watching some of the highlights, and there's so much of Revolut and Monzo and all these guys. Like, the banking industry is just going to be shaken up, but what Revolut are also doing is they're going to shake up the investment management industry. So doing what these guys do, they've obviously introduced investing, and you can invest in some of their ETFs from the likes of Vanguard and BlackRock via their app now. They're going to do it themselves. So basically they have applied for their license to be an ETF provider.
Seriously?
This won't be a quick fix. So obviously they have to go through the hoops, but they're going to base it in Dublin through their Dublin office, so obviously that allows them to go into Europe, and they're going to create their own ETF. So it's funny, they'll bring in the big guys, and they'll learn from them, and then they go, yeah, we can do that ourselves. So watch this space. It's so interesting what's happening, and they've already, in my eyes, totally and utterly disrupted banking and made it so easy versus the traditional banking model, and now they're going to do it in our business as well. So I think everyone needs to be absolutely in tune and aware as to what's going on, because if you're saying that you should get paid because of what you're bringing to your clients in terms of investments, well, I think you've got a big fright coming, and you ain't going to have to wait that long for that big fright to become a reality.
Yeah, I've got my own take on this. You're right. I mean, I've been a Revolut user for years, but increasingly becoming a power user. And I do need to look into these things, upgrading it, because bit by bit, you just find, well, I could just use it for this. I just had it as a separate account to send people money in the past, but now it's far more integrated. It was only quite recently, I mean, in the last couple of weeks, that they announced anyway that they got their formal UK banking license. They've had it for a while. Yeah. When I just got an email, I think it was last week, from us, so they qualify for the the government safety net thing if anything went wrong, etc. So they're a formal UK bank now. But I'm just, who knows what they're up to? But they certainly seem to have a sort of global world domination strategic plan. They're sort of the big all over the world. And I looked at that airport lounges, and I thought initially, what's that all about? What's that got to do with anything, having airport lounges? But I've got a theory, and I wrote about it on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, is along the lines of, as data and information just flows, AI will have, if you can give it AI access to everything, and cash flow models and everything, you'll be able to do it on your phone, and et cetera, et cetera. Community and meeting with people and sitting in a place is going to be increasingly important. So how you deliver your in real life service experience, I think my view on it is going to become more important. Getting people together, like-minded clients, having events, hosting things, all that sort of thing. I think that's where the world and the market is going to go. And I've no idea, but whether that's what they're thinking, do you get, a lot of business travelers, ultra level Revolut customers, and you get them together and just say, well, if you, for your New York flight, we're getting together and doing some sort of talks about investment or financial planning or something. I think it seems to me they've got like a 5 or 10 year plan to dominate the entire vertical around banking, investment management, and ultimately wealth management, financial planning, call it what you will. I would not bet against them at all. Very, very smart people.
Yeah.
And they're
Okay.
insanely profitable as well, Alan, which is a bit odd for such a new company. Anyway,
They're not that new, you see. So they're only new. People are only
They're
seeing
what,
them
10
now,
years
probably.
old, I think.
I think a little bit more,
probably
like,
older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things of world banks, they're incredibly new.
Okay, 40 minutes in. Smithy, DFA guy launches fund.
Yeah, I said I'd do a shout out. Some of you will know James Stewart, ex-Dimensional Fund Advisors, Perfect Human, one of the many perfect humans coming out of Dimensional. I had a chat with
Dimensional
James.
Factory.
Yeah, I had a chat with James last week. I mean, it's a pretty brave move, frankly, to leave an august organization like Dimensional Fund Advisors, where he was, I can't remember exactly, but he was in a senior role, regional director, whatever, and he's walked away to follow his passion and to be an entrepreneur, to launch his own business. And I said I'd give him a shout out. I had a really good call with him. Something that, again, candidly, I'm a bit skeptical about, but he won me over during the conversation. His business is called Bamboo Invest. Bamboo, as in bamboo shoots, etc. Bamboo Invest. I posted a link to it in the show notes. And I think what he's doing is he's going back to this, what is broadly called, ESG type investment. And of course, there's a wide range of these things. I know this is one for you, Nick. But regardless, some clients still are interested in this level, but no one's really quite nailed it in terms of, the various shades of green that there are, very light green. Do you want just a pure investment return? Do you want to, eliminate whatever, tobacco products, which is one I had quite recently. A particular client had an issue with that, and so on, all the way down to impact investing, actually investing in companies that are formally making a significant impact to their community or country. And it's as much of a kind of training program. There's a lot of content, there's a lot of information there. And if you're remotely in this market or have a few clients or a number of clients that are interested and you haven't quite been able to fit them, you've recommended, I don't know, an ESG portfolio or a Vanguard or a Dimensional portfolio, that might not have quite fitted that specific client who wanted something a bit more bespoke. So I think what James is doing is interesting. And if you're in that world, check out the link, get in touch with James. They're very early stages yet, but they're about to launch quite significantly. And I think it's another useful resource for full financial planners.
It's quite niche, isn't it? Sustainable MPS. So yeah, good luck, James. It's a brave move, leaving the big D. Alan.
No, done. Ultra
Done.
U, annuity.
This is incredibly interesting, Nick, so hold up. No, I do quite a lot of work in the immediate need care annuity space. So people in care homes, obviously average cost of care now is probably about 120,000 in the UK. I've seen 145,000 recently, but around about 100K. Obviously it needs to be funded. There are currently 4 providers in this space. The big ones that people know are Aviva, Legal & General. The smaller ones are Just and National Friendly. Anyway, in August, we're already in August. About now, or September, there's going to be a 5th launch in the market called British Friendly. So if you are in this space, the form you need to complete now gets sent off to 5 providers, and then all the quotes come back in. So it'll be interesting to see how aggressive they are launching into this market. But if you are, a lot of your clients have elderly parents that are often in care homes, so I have a bit of an eye on this market. So it's quite nichey. You can't really dabble in it. But I know a few other advisors are starting to get into this space. They're doing the exam and they're getting a bit more clued up on the options. So yeah, that's it really. So yeah, there's a new insurance company launching in the immediate need care annuity market, which is all good. Then we've got 5 providers fighting for the business. Back to you, Nicholas.
That's good. Good stuff. Good stuff. More competition is always a good thing. I'm going to sort of crowbar this in because it's around financial planning and inheritance tax planning, which all comes into this later life stuff with immediate care and do you plan for that and so forth. And it's back to this point about, I think Alan's made this point before because he has this flat fee system, Alan, where bizarrely all your clients end up paying 0.97% on their assets. Nevertheless, you have this flat fee arrangement. And I had a client 2 weeks ago, so we want to give away a 6-figure sum from our ISAs because I've been urging them to do it. Just you've got more money than you're ever going to need. You're going to have loads. Start giving it away with a warm hand. You've got 3 children who love you, a very tight family. All the marriages appear to be very solid and good. Just start giving the money out now when you're alive. And they did it. And last week, Transact paid out this 6-figure sum into the bank account, and it didn't cross my mind for 1 minute that there's loss of revenue to me. I maybe it's because I've got a mature business. It didn't even. I've been pushing this conversation from my end for these guys, and I was so chuffed when they decided to do it, and hopefully they'll do it again next year and so forth. So, I don't know. I every fee model has conflicts along the way.
Exactly.
And I think the ad valorem one is as good as it gets, as long as it's transparent and you're upfront about it. But the fact that I'm losing revenue through this. In the Cosmic Bank, the register is chiming away somewhere else, and it all goes around. So, sorry, I've kind of hoisted that point to make a
but it doesn't matter what fee model you have if you're not acting in the best interest of your clients. It doesn't matter what the fee model is.
Exactly.
And let's just hope that we're the, that everybody, well, certainly in this group and everyone following this podcast are going to always act in the best interest of your client. That's what integrity looks like, and that's what will pay back in life. The longer I'm in this game, the more I think it just encourage people to give money away while they're alive. Try and avoid bloody trust and all that other nonsense. Just to have a financial planner who's done the proper cash flow modelling with you with a decent software, so you're pretty confident in the long term implications of giving away large amounts of money, and just do it when you're alive. How lovely to pay for. I don't know, to pay for your granddaughter's private education or to help your daughter's.
Such a nice thing, isn't it, Nick?
It's such a nice thing.
Whilst you're
and
alive to
people.
see that children, grandchildren, and just, I guess, seeing the joy in their face and how they can use it.
Exactly this in the last episode. Like, it is that is what better gift can you give to those that you love?
And another reason why you have to do proper financial planning. Before we were doing this, I was talking about this, when I got started more than 20 years ago, but I wasn't doing proper cash flow in those days. And you've always got this inherent doubt that the client says that, your parent or grandparent type client says, but what if I need the money? That was always the thing. I don't want to give it away now because I might need it. Once you run a model and you absolutely, you test it and you double test it and you make some big assumptions for inflation, say, or big, as we call it, UFOs, unidentified financial objects or expenses that you hadn't anticipated. Build all that thing into it for comfort. And then you still got more than enough. Then give it away. How the hell you can do this without a proper time-specific and money-specific financial plan is beyond me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Thank you, gents. So we are right now 47 minutes. The next thing on here is, oh my God. Come on, Smithy, make this one sexy.
I am coming out with all the hot new things this week, boys. But
Mr. Magpie has got his pages.
Well, no, I raised this. I'm sure I raised it last time about. It's been on the go for several years since gilt yields improved. For those with short-term needs, want to put effectively, I've got a big tax bill or I've got something or other that's a year, 2-3 years away. So it's not really long-term investment money. Historically, we were just, saying national savings and others. And we've heard a lot of advisors using gilts, recommending gilts. So I went down that particular rabbit hole because we've got a specific client situation that we wanted to explore. And there was absolute, mixed feedback from other people that I knew that were active in it in terms of have they got specific regulatory permissions to do it? Some said, yes, we've got that. And others said, no, but I don't think we need it. We checked out with our compliance people. They said, you absolutely do need it. It is a security, unless you've got permission to act on behalf of the client to purchase a direct security in the form of a government gilt. You can't really be doing it. So there's a lot of, misunderstanding about this right now. But I was intrigued when, just very recently, a friend of the podcast, second best looking financial planner around, John Douglas, who's the best looking, Andy. Look at Andy. He's looking. He thinks the same. But JD, who runs a great business here in London and become a good mate of mine, but he was telling me just the other day about the AJ Bell have got a product. It's a suite of different. So that's like an MPS. It's a mutual fund, an OIC or whatever. So that we are regulated for, and you can sort of tie it in with the client's needs, what they want to receive, and when. Worth exploring. And the thing is, we can say, oh, what's the difference? But it's probably a percentage point difference net return. And if you've got like 3-4 million quid, which some of these things are, for a period of time, a percentage point is worth doing. And I am in the world of demonstrating value for clients in a very, not through like crazy, complex, esoteric IHT schemes, but something like this, which is, a major player, AJ Bell, a particular fund, mutual fund, you can buy it directly, you can own it, I guess, within if your ISA fund is big enough, etc., etc. Worth exploring because it meets that requirement that some clients have where you're adding value without the complexity and the compliance risk of trying to buy a gilt directly on behalf of the client. I've put a link to it in the show notes.
That was interesting to know. Thank you.
I'll have a look at that. And the final topical tidbit of episode 104, Tieni Cuatro, is down to you, Mr. Wodge.
The Other Hand podcast. This one is probably one of the top-rated podcasts in the business category in Ireland. Recorded by Jim Power and I think Chris Johns, who was an ex-fund manager. And they just talk about random stuff that kind of comes up. But this one was of particular interest to me. It's about the whole AI disruption across many different professions and services. So they discussed that Chris had been to dinner with a prominent divorce lawyer who was saying that he's just about to get out of the business because he's had enough and he feels that the AI disruption is here and is real. And he's probably right. But it was funny. He was saying that he was representing one part of a couple who were divorcing. This might be resonate with a few of us on here. And and basically the fees, they were fighting so much over a long period of time that the fees came so big that they couldn't afford lawyers, either of them. And basically what they both did was they decided they were going to represent themselves, and they ran their cases that they presented in court through AI, ChatGPT or one of those. And the lawyer said, do you know what, it was at least 80% correct. Yeah. And really all it needed was someone experienced to go, yeah, you need to tweak that or tweak, but it was nearly spot on. So number one, I'm recommending this podcast because it's quite good, and they it's very conversational and it's very topical. But number two, spoke already about the disruption in the banking world. We spoke already about the disruption in the investing world, and now here's proof of disruption in the legal world. It's here. It's absolutely here. And I think that's probably a good segue into our meat and potatoes today.
Is that why you sold, Carl?
Perfection.
It's
perfection.
No.
Let's take that segue.
Why? Because of AI?
Let's take
Well,
that
it is.
segue.
Well,
is here.
we'll roll this into the next section. I've got things to say about that. But of course, it is a freaking tsunami hitting all professional services.
Yeah.
Right now, and there will be winners.
This is
and
not
losers.
Insightful, though. We know this. So can we just?
No, but that's a new bit of insight from the divorce lawyers, who
Right.
you think is a highly personalized type of professional.
I think it's superb. We'll be able to spit out divorce solutions in literally 2 minutes, because lawyers take
and his
freaking
ongoing
weeks
campaign against divorce
and months to get back to you.
Yeah, but hey,
if a lawyer gets back to you in a week, they think it's quick. If they get back to you in a week,
we don't want to go down your
that charge.
experience, Andy.
No, I'm leading that charge, and Andy is right behind me. But but the divorce lawyers basically stir up shit between two humans, and then they let the emotions run riot between two people and families. They don't give a shite about the impact that it has on everybody that they leave behind, because they'll stir up fees. So I can tell you, if this is one part of a profession that could be disrupted, I would be delighted. And I think they deserve everything they get.
Okay, right. Drawing a line under that, let's move on to the meat and potatoes of episode 104, because we're in the dog days of summer. Had a fantastic summer here in the UK, England, and Europe's had a good summer. I think Ireland's had a share of good weather and so forth. But we're coming to the end of it. Hopefully, all recharged. All four of us have been away on our summer holidays. Some of us stuck with the program, stuck with recordings. Other ones kind of dropped out and let themselves down a little bit. But we're not going to dwell on that. So let's look at what we've been doing, what we're going to do now for the remaining, third of the year, 4 months or so to go in 2026. We've got a planning for that. We all know that 2027 will be upon us like that, because that's just the way the tempest fuges. So what have we been doing? What plans have we got for the rest of the year? What plans are we laying for the next year? I'll start off with you, Carl.
Yeah, I suppose this one was fairly pertinent for me because obviously I'm in a new home now in NFP, and we're probably 3 months in, or are we 3 or 4 months in? So I had set kind of a deadline for myself of the 1st of September to get to know the business, get to know the people in the business, and then decide, well, what were the kind of the short, medium, and maybe longer term goals for the business. And look, I'm this is a theme of mine, right? I think the financial planning business that we're in is being disrupted massively, and I don't think it's going to look the same ever again. I think if you're not planning for exactly that, I think you'll be left behind. I do, however, think that human connection will become more and more important, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is on that, right? But therefore, you got to look at what kind of service model we have, and I suppose the business that I need to look after at NFP now is probably was a little bit disjointed in terms of there was a few different acquisitions made, and it's up to me to make that the NFP way and bring the team together and make sure that we're all kind of doing something the same. So it doesn't matter if a client comes into consultant 1 or consultant 28, and there are 28 of them, that broadly speaking you can bring your own style to it, but broadly speaking the client's going to get a financial plan, it's going to get evidence-based investing. But then how do we sort out the support services behind it? And, will we need the pod systems that I've spoken about before? I don't think we will. I think we need to upskill ourselves to be absolute experts in what we can deliver. And I think then let AI help us. So I have a week next week where I'm gathering all of the advisors together, and then a lot of the kind of support people. So there'll be a big crew together.
Looking forward to it.
I'm going to take I'm under a bit of pressure for it, Andy, right? I have to, if I'm taking people, advisors especially, right, who make money out of seeing people, if I'm taking them out of their job for 4 whole days to say, let's all forget about what we know or we thought we know. Let's tear it up and let's decide, well, what's the way forward? I'm very, very excited for it, but I'll also be glad when it's over because there's been so much work has gone into it. There's some stuff that I still need sign off from NFP to kind of really make it impactful. But I have to say NFP have been really, really, really superb in following through on everything that they said they would, and saying to me, look, yeah, we said we wanted to create this financial planning at scale, so we'll back you to do that. But I have to be very, very persuasive to the advisory team that this, perhaps for some of them at least, this new way of doing things will be worth everybody's while. But I suppose part of that is that we have to decide on what our values are and really trust that over the long term, by doing the right thing for the clients, that's how we'll actually make this a really profitable and successful business that everyone is proud to work in. So it's there's probably a lot of fluffy stuff going to be discussed next week.
Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya.
But the reason this is easy for me is because I believe in it. Truly, 100%, absolutely believe in it. And I suppose it was good to say earlier on that I've done it the other way. I've made all the mistakes. This is the way to do it. This will have the most impact. And I'm hoping I can create an environment where, people can fulfill their own potential and high performers can perform highly, as I often say. So that's my plans for from next week and then into Q4, and then hopefully creating a model that's sustainable into the long term for NFP.
Great
Good
stuff.
luck.
Well,
Good luck,
I mean,
Carl.
Carl, your situation is so out different at the minute to certainly Ultra and myself, and even to Alan, given what you've done in the last few months, which is tremendous, and you've got loads on your plate. I as ever, I'm at the other bloody extreme.
Zero plans.
Well, zero, yeah, just keep on keeping. When I set Values Division up in 2008, I had a plan, and I still cleave to the plan. But I don't. That's a long-term plan. That's an 18-year-old plan now, but it still remains applicable to me, and I still cleave to it because the things I set out to do in 2008 are things I still do today. Beyond that, I don't have any plans really. I really don't. I'm starting to look at what possible valuation could I get for my business if I were to sell, but it's only really just my own, just to scratch that itch. I am using, AI was mentioned in the last topical tidbit, and you referred to it fleetingly there in your point, Carl. AI is making a big change, but for me, it's been immensely positive. AI, I'm loving it. I'm firing off these questions about. A mundane example, but I had a client. I was in Spain last week. When I was in Spain, the client emailed me and she said she's in a local government pension scheme, career average earnings. She's also paying money into a personal pension as employer pension contributions from another business she belongs to. And I just wanted to work out what the annual allowance headroom was because she wants to pay another 500 quid now into the LGPS ABC scheme. And it's like, oh my Jesus Christ. And I put 3 different AI models and it came back exactly with the right answer, all with the right answer. I thought this is just absolute.
That's a hellish inquiry unless you're a specialist.
It's a hellish inquiry. And suddenly, then I'm Voyant because, you could model, thankfully Voyant, you can model care schemes really well now. I know it's a 149th scheme. Voyant can accommodate career average earnings schemes. I'm not sure. People talk about cash flow modeling and then when you drill down some of this shit, they don't even, yeah, we can maybe go from personal pension to flexi access drawdown, but you've got to do this. You know what I mean? You've got to go around the back of the software and plug in this. And so I loved it. I know that for me is, I will be leaning more on AI, but beyond that, but it's the unknown unknowns. We don't know what the future holds. There could be anything down the line, and regulation could change all of our businesses. Certainly in the UK. For good or bad. But I'm just going to plow and keep my head down, doing what I'm doing, building up significant wealth. TLP. She's going down to 3.5 days a week from next month. In the academic year starts again, so that's a big change for her. So she'll be around a bit more. So that's going to, tension's going to be rising in Lincoln Lodge. So
are you going up to Nick's going up to 3.5 days a week?
I'll have to do something to be around the house. For Christ's sake, I might have to get an office. But no, I'm going to keep on keeping on, and I'm perfectly happy with keeping on. There's sometimes I think there's just, as long as you know what you're doing and why you're doing it and what you're charging for it, and people are happy with what they're being charged, then everything else can go to hell, and you just screw everything else. Keep on doing what you're doing. So that's me.
Out of interest, Nick, the 3 models that you used, any further information to share about that? Was Gemini the one that was a little bit better?
I used Grok, I used Gemini, and I used Saturn, which is the financial services
and they all come up with the same answer?
All came up with the same answer. Gemini is generally the quickest. Grok takes a little bit longer, but to the exact, it was like something like, her annual allowance, she's gone over this, she's paid in £62,218 in this tax year from all these various sources, but it doesn't matter. She's got unused relief we can carry forward, so the £2,000 extra. But they all came back to and the brilliant thing is they all cite the legislation they're drawing from. They all tell you where they're getting this stuff from. So it's just having that kind of. It's like me having a properly qualified power planner sitting on my shoulder, and it's just where the numbnuts here is bright enough to know to ask the questions in the first place, because it's the unknown unknowns that kill you, isn't it? But that's honestly for solo advisors, Andy. I think AI is going to just be absolutely brilliant.
And every team, like every
What? Sorry, Carl. I don't have someone to talk to. I can bounce something off quickly. So
Ever.
I can just.
Do you use Grok in your car, Nick?
I use Grok in my car. I used to have the sweary version, Andy, but it's limited in what it can do, and it just tells me to F off all the time. So
it's good with the kids asking questions and stuff.
It's hilarious. I do use Grok in the car. You? Oh, by the way, just closing on that, I hired a car in Spain. modern car, the brand that I wasn't familiar with, OMODA, Omoda. It's like a Kia Skoda SUV, big bloody thing, modern, automatic. And I couldn't wait to get home and drive in a proper car. Tesla. Honestly, once you drive a Tesla, you're never going back. Yeah, there we go. So, Andy, your hand's raised.
Doubt it.
Oh, sorry, mate. I'll lower it down.
Oh, is that okay? Fine. So that's me done. No plans for Lincoln. Keep on keeping on. Keep on trying to stay married. Who's going out of you two? Alan?
What do they say about retirement, Nick? Half the income, twice the spouse?
Oh, I could take twice the spouse. I could take 20 times the spouse. There's never enough of spouse when it comes to TLP.
Is she still listening to this episode?
She will do now. Now she's been mentioned.
Yeah,
she asked me.
Well, you'll insist upon it. Fast forward to a minute.
Anyway, come on, enough of me.
Interesting though, Nick, that it's really good that you've got a AI-enabled power planner and technician to ask all the questions. Then the next iteration of that is the client doesn't even ask you, because or the future prospective client doesn't even ask you. This is what we're potentially
good.
Up against.
Yeah. Saves you a job, Alan.
Well, it saves you taking on a new client.
You mean there won't be a client?
Saves you taking on a new client is the point. And I think that this is one of the issues, that those with mature books of business, they're unlikely to have their clients sort of run away next day because they can chat GPT or grok it. But it's the next generation of clients that say, well, why am I even hiring this guy? Is a potential thing.
Yep.
There is, we talk about this a lot. This is a recurring theme for a couple of years on this podcast. There is a brilliant book by a guy called Andy Grove called "Only the Paranoid Survive." Ever read it? He's no brilliant.
IBM, Intel.
He was CEO of Intel,
Yeah.
Computer chip company. Way back in the day.
He was a founder, wasn't he?
Yeah. They were absolutely killing it. They had like massive market domination, and he couldn't imagine anything going wrong. And Andy Grove talks a lot about that, because the book is called "Only the Paranoid Survive." And he was making that point. He said, success creates complacency, and complacency kills. The minute you think, well, my clients are never going to leave me, they love me, I always get a few referrals every year. He ran his whole operation in that. And sure enough, the Japanese came in, completely undercut them, and the chip industry in the States in the 1990s was decimated. And all these companies ran into some serious difficulties. So he just talks about, be paranoid in your business, assume the worst. It's great if it doesn't happen, but that's not a bad place to start from. And that then leads me into what we're doing. Yeah, I've had a great summer, had some good time off, traveling here and there and chilling out. And I spend a lot of time thinking. And I always try to think, 3 years ahead, what is the shape of the business? What's it looking like? What's the industry? Where's it going? It is the 10-ton elephant in the room, AI, but it's not AI, it's the implications downstream that brings in. I've just got this emerging theory, and we are spending a lot of time in my business on this, about trying to understand the different shape between a traditional professional services business that uses AI, like Saturn, like the other ones. They're all great, and we've been using them for several years now. The difference between that and what is more generically called an AI native business. In other words, it's just built, you've got an end-to-end AI platform where you've got agentic AI, you've got these various different agents who are effectively speaking to each other, and who are not, you move from being a co-pilot, because most of these things are co-pilot. The human does the work and gets a bit of assistance from a co-pilot, and you evolve into autopilot, whereas the task is set. In fact, sometimes the system automatically knows what the task is going to be and actually does the work. So that exists right now. So we are, without going into too much detail, spending quite a lot of time in, attempting to build our own version of an AI native platform that will do most of these things. Because once you understand what these things are capable of, and it's a lot more than asking Grok to do a tax calculation, it's mind-blowing. It really, really is. I've seen some demos of some of the smart people in my organization and associated people that we're working with. And it's just incredible. And I can assure you that the shape of our industry will change beyond all recognition. Just to back up Carl's point, I mean, and it's not like a 5-10 year plan. This is in the next 12 to 18 months, I believe. The leading companies, the innovators who are adopting this, who are literally heads down building things right now, are going to lead on this fundamental change. I don't think it means IFAs are out of business, far from it. But I think those that are going to thrive as opposed to sort of tread water and do okay and don't lose any clients, but those who are going to significantly scale and grow over the next 5 years plus are paying attention to this and working out how they create a much more proprietary in-house AI platform. The great thing about my business is I've got 22 years history, and we've got all stuff that we've never explored before. We get literally back of an envelope, handwritten fact finds and stuff like that. It's just lost forever. No one's ever going to find that again. Well, guess what? The AI tools can surface all that, and they can identify a conversation you had 7 years ago about that client's daughter or granddaughter or whatever, and surface that up. So the whole thing becomes very, very highly personalized. But the key thing here is having an end-to-end platform. More work, more effort. Not everyone will be able to do it, but those of us who are kind of, I suppose, a mid-sized business do have the time and the resources to make this work. So who the hell knows? This all might just blow up in our face. It might not work out. But I am adhering to those principles of only the paranoid survive. I think unless we are serious about this and pay it a lot of attention and are prepared to allocate time and money and resource to this, then the future might not be as bright. Again, back to Carl's point, I thought it was genuinely interesting that divorce, highly paid divorce lawyers, and one of them is he's bailed, he's retiring as a result because he can see the writing on the wall. So I think anyone under 50, certainly who wants a 10 or 20 year career ahead of them, needs to pay more attention to this. So, I'll say more. I'll probably come back to this at the end of the year, rolling into next year, because I want to be able to share what we've actually built rather than just talk about it. But we're in build mode right now. So that's what's attracting my attention, what I was reflecting on over the summer, and what we're absolutely executing on day to day right now, leading up to Christmas.
Okay, good stuff. I think that's a fair stab at the meat and potatoes. As I say, this is quite nice to have a shorter episode. The last two episodes have been kind of behemoth in size. So we're.
What about Ultra?
What about me, mate? What's going on?
Oh, sorry. I thought you'd gone. Sorry, my apologies.
No, I'm back. I'm in Portugal, and my tech's a bit here, there, and everywhere. I just thought a load of people came back. I'm waiting for about 15 kids to come rolling in, so I'll get this over and done with quickly. Are they
yours or people you know?
No, they're my kids. They're at the beach with all the other kids. They've been told strictly not to come back before 4 p.m, but that doesn't often work like that. Same time zone in Portugal, Carl, which is quite interesting, isn't it?
Very.
I think it's the only. Well, anyway, right, moving on. My year's quite predictable, which is quite good. I have the bulk of my annual planning meetings with my clients in February and March. So I'm deep in that zone. I then have Trap Live in May, and I usually go away for the bulk of August. And then now we're talking about what I'm up to for the next part of the year. I've got Humans Under Management South Africa in September. I've got Humans Under Management London in November. And I have a slightly unusual gig that I'm doing in October, where I've been asked to speak at the Greek Financial Planning Conference. So if there are any Greek Trappists listening to this, please do reach out to me. I'm a little bit struggling to work out what I'm going to speak about because it's going to be translated from English to Greek live as I speak. So I'm assuming I'm going to have to speak a lot slower, to account for that fact. And then that's that. And I suppose the big thing on my mind is I'm going to do a digital rebrand of Maven Advisor. I launched the company in 2017, so it's basically 10 years, and I haven't touched the brand since then. I don't know if this is one of those projects where it doesn't need to happen and the brand's good enough, or I'm going to spend a shed load of time doing a digital rebrand, and then if I showed people the two options, they'd say I preferred the original one. I'm calling it a digital rebrand because I don't print anything. There's no physical copies of anything, so hopefully it will be less painful than if there was a load of sort of physical material. So that's it really. I'm focusing on my two conferences and I'm going to do a rebrand of a Maven Advisor. That's it. Back to you, Nicholas.
Wow.
But Andy, can I just ask you, do you specifically think about like growth, for example? Do you think, how am I going to improve my revenue, my profitability, or do you think, no, I'll just keep going?
No, I definitely do. With Maven Advisor, I want another 20 ideal client families, and that'll be me sort of done on that side. I'm still growing Humans Under Management. That is my, let's say, main focus. So with that business, we provide content marketing material for financial advisors around the world. I've got a target number of members at the moment. We're hovering about 360 at the moment. I'd love to triple those numbers, but it's quite a tough business to grow, in terms of just new members. So yeah, I'm focused on all the numbers and all the metrics. Yeah, I like looking at all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's my rest of the year. So yeah, as I say, I wake up on the 1st of January. I pretty much know what I'm doing. I've got 26 Trap podcasts. I've got 3 conferences. I've got Trap Live. I've got 40 client meetings. It's relatively set. Obviously, it is a little bit
Andy,
convoluted.
how much is humans under management premium? Is that what you call it?
Yes, I think the current price is 149. We started off at £99, then we went to 129. Now we're at 149. We might do a price rise in 2027. That business grows on campaigns where you do Black Friday deals, discounts, summer specials. It's a bit of a unique business. But yeah, no, I love running it, and we've got shed loads of content inside there now.
It is superb, and like we use it. There isn't a month goes by that we don't use something from from Humans Under Management Premium.
Yeah, and we did actually a big rebrand. We sent out a member survey. We said, look, we're not going to bombard you with these things, but we've been running it for about 5 years. Give us a load of feedback. We got a lot of feedback and insight into basically what people use, what they don't use, because we basically add features. So at the moment, I think we had something like 12 features, but basically 80% of the members used only 2 features. So we had to, streamline it down. So basically, we did a rebrand inside, so it looks a lot better, and we also simplified the product. And we added an AI search tool in there as well, which is very interesting. So advisors are using that, and we see all the prompts that they're searching for, various different things at different times of the month and different times of the year. Yeah, it's a great business. I love running it, but I just need to work out growth and all good. Back to you, Nicholas.
Yeah, amazing, Andy. You are. I mean, I am very structured in terms of my year, but I mean, crikey, you are mega structured. And you do more in the final quarter of the year than most people do in the final quarter of their lives. So, yeah, it's amazing. All right, let's. Which is absolutely to your credit. Right, let's move on to what many people call the Trappist questions part of the show. I know it's the Trappist questions part of the show because I can see Posty holding the bulging sack of Trappist questions up the drive to Lincoln Lodge. If you want to leave a question for the Trap Pack to answer, please do so via the pinned tweet on X or the pinned X on tweet. There is a link there. There's also a link in the so-called show notes, and we are getting through them. We go through them all chronologically, but we will come to a question eventually, unless it's really, really asinine. But we're kind of asinine people anyway, so it takes a lot for your question not to be answered. Let's see who this one is from. This is from quite cheap stationery. This thin paper, but we'll give that guy a pass. Who's it from? Someone, Patrick Duggan. Okay, long-time friend of the show. Patrick, I love your stationery. I'm only joking. Some of the best manila envelope I've seen ever. Patrick asks, hi, gents. Thanks once again for an outstanding podcast. Always informative and entertaining. As a financial advisor with over 20 years' experience, I'm fairly confident that I know what I'm doing when it comes to planning my personal financial affairs. But like the old cobbler and his shoes, I've been thinking of engaging a financial advisor for a health check to confirm that all is indeed well and or that I am on track to achieve my objectives. Is this something that you guys do or would recommend for yourselves? Thank you. Warm regards. P.S. Trap live in South Africa next year, guys. That could be interesting. And P.P.S. Andy, congrats on the book. I just purchased a copy on Amazon and I look forward to the read. So there you go. Well, I'll go quick. No, I don't know. I don't feel the need to validate my plan with anybody else. I'm pretty careful where it is, but I know that, for instance, Alan, you have to lean heavily on Andy because you're not that good with numbers. Is that correct? Am I just going too quick on this?
It's not about the numbers, but yeah, I'm sure we've spoken about this before.
Yeah, we have done, but yeah.
I often get mixed up between really being in the pub with you guys and chatting about stuff and Trap podcast. Do you know what I mean? We spoke about this. Oh no, it's when we were out having a beer. So forgive us if we repeat some things, but no, that is true. Mr. Andrew Ultra Hart is my financial planner. He doesn't know that he is, but he has built me financial plans. Look, the thing about it is we all can work the numbers and do the numbers. My God, ChatGPT could do the numbers and just speak into it and it'll give you at least a rudimentary financial plan. the biggest thing and where the value lies, as we know that with our existing clients, is blind spots, is pushing back on your assumptions, is really questioning some of the things you think or don't think. And one thing about Andrew Hart, as we all know, is he doesn't beat around the bush. When he's got an opinion on something, he tells you all about it. So I mean, I don't know. I think there's different kind of on a continuum. Like, do I pay a proper financial planner and sit down and they manage the money and everything else? No. But have you got like a trusted advisor, a trusted friend, somebody who is prepared to push back on your ideas and things? I think that's it. I think everyone should have someone like that in their life. Just call it a trusted advisor, with the exception of Nick Lincoln, who wouldn't listen to anything anyone ever said to him ever. But that's the thing. Is that obviously me and Andy, we meet up and we talk about things, and particularly if there are like events or bigger things I've got to make some big significant decisions on, I must say I found it very helpful.
Okay. I'll chip in. I know Carl's got to say something. Yeah, I think you're right, Alan. I don't think any financial advisors have ongoing financial advisors. It is that one-off project, financial planning, coach, a bit of a know person, someone that obviously knows the money and knows you. So I don't think anyone has ongoing financial advisors. I could be wrong, but I certainly don't think they look after the money. I updated my own financial plan recently. I found it very useful because obviously I know my situation very well. I know Voyant software very well. So I update it every couple of years. Obviously my life's got, a few moving parts, young kids and various other things. So I enjoy doing it myself, but I still don't think I will ever pay and engage a financial planner. I obviously have coaches and people that I speak to and ring up when I've got decisions and stuff. So yeah, I've got a team of hive mind, let's say, but no, I don't have a personal financial planner. Do you want to share the story about that coach? What that coach said to you, Alan, after we had a meeting? Remember?
No.
He was saying all your potentials ahead of you.
Oh yeah. Again, I'm sure we said this.
I don't think we have.
Yeah. I think I've recommended him before. Graham Godfrey. He's brilliant. He's brilliant, like executive coach.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Did a lot of work with him last year. Really helped me kind of break through in many ways. But he was talking about fulfilling potential. He said, "But mate, you've achieved a degree of success by anyone's measures, but you simply haven't achieved your full potential." And I told my financial planner, Andy Hart, this, and he said, "Are you kidding me? You have way exceeded your own potential. You were miles ahead of what you were capable of. How the hell?" Yeah. So that he brought me right back down to earth. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Carl,
good answers, guys. Good answers. Right, without any further ado, let's crack on to what many
Carl's
people
got a point,
call
Nick. Carl's got a point.
How about Carl?
Oh, for fuck it, sorry. Well, your hand's
Get with the
raised.
program. Your brain's still in Spain.
Is your hand raised? So you've got to say something to say, Andy?
No, sorry. Carl.
Right. Sorry,
Well,
Carl.
look,
Sorry.
I'll very briefly. Cian in my office does my financial plan. I would say any clients who have had an exit, I'm calling mine an exit in, right? But anybody who's had an exit, they probably want to see the financial plan way more than you think they want to see it, right? So because I do look at it quite a lot and I'm fiddling around with it quite a bit. The bit that I was struggling with was purpose, purpose, I'd say, is the best way of describing it. This is probably good time to play the Kumbaya again. But anyway, I'm leaning heavily on Tommy Geary, who's a mentor of mine, and he's my coach. I've actually made it my business to have conversations with a lot of our client advisory panel, just on not on business, but on kind of bigger stuff, on purpose, on what the next phase looks like. I've thrown myself into absolutely 100% entirely into the NFP stuff because I'm loving it. So as long as that keeps lasting, I will throw it in. But what I have done is I have engaged.
Sorry, was that NFP or NLP?
NFP.
Right. Okay.
So I have engaged with Sonia Lennon, who's doing a program called Future Rhythm, and it's all around this. I'm in the middle of the program. I'm finding it unbelievably good, and I am going to interview Sonia for the Trap podcast to tell everybody a little bit more, because it's like financial planning without the finances. It's all about the holistic stuff, but in a program that's designed to challenge you, because I really was challenged, really was challenged with all of this, and and still probably am, and still trying to find my way a little bit, but much clearer now. And the more clearer I get, the more clarity I have, just the freer I feel, and the more I'm absolutely enjoying everything. But we've laughed because I've shared through, my own Metas life plan, as I've called it, and Jesus Christ, it's hard work. Apart from it costing a lot of money, like I'm ticking a lot of boxes and I'm wrecked from it. Like, so, trying to do everything in the immediate aftermath of an exit is it's not good advice. It really isn't. The best advice you can give everyone is just take a step back and slow down. But I'm in a really good place, I'd say, and I'm in a really good place because I have leaned heavily on talking to a lot of people who I trust.
Just following up on that, and there's a thread running through a lot of the conversation on this episode. It's just interesting, isn't it, that you said it, Carl, I've said a version of it, Andy, forget about Nick, but that it's the conversations, the coaching, whatever you want to call it, the soft things. And I just think that's the direction of travel we'll be having. The money problem is largely solved. We know how to allocate resource. Most of your money should be in a particular way. It doesn't take too much to build effectively a cash flow, making sure that I've got enough money dropping into my life at certain points when I've predetermined I would need it, for day-to-day life or for additional capex and stuff. But it's all that other stuff. It's like that problem is largely becoming solved. And there's an element of, forward-thinking financial planners reinventing their role. This idea of a coach, a second opinion, a sounding board, blah, 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 all that stuff. Now, good financial planners are doing that already to some degree, but I think that's just going to become bigger and bigger in the future when the stuff that we generally do and that we deliver and that we get paid for can be taken care of, 90% of it by the tech. So there's are we all ready for? Is every financial planner capable of delivering sort of proper coaching type experiences? I'm going to suggest not. And maybe that's instead of taking another exam or something else, maybe that's the thing for us all to just up our skills at. Just a thought.
If only
much more elegantly said than I was trying to say, probably throughout the whole episode. But that's exactly my point.
If only one of us ran a podcast for exiting entrepreneurs, Carl could share his story there. If only one of us did run.
Yeah, watch this space.
Oh.
Yeah. But we have discussed it, right? But I need to. There's stuff I need to get right before I can actually talk about. What I. You have to make some of the mistakes, but because I was wondering, right, being honest, right? Well, why am I putting myself under this pressure, right? But then through all the discussions that I had, because I thrive under pressure, and I don't have now the pressure of am I going to run out of money, right? But I need the pressure to have a purpose and so understanding then that was okay, that feeling under pressure is okay. That's just me. That's in me. The different people will be different, but I need the purpose. I need a target. I need a goal.
Yeah, and this is the point. Your purpose has changed now. If the financial objectives are less, pressing for you, then what else is there? Because the minute you're done, you say everything in my life is perfect. I don't need to do anything. That's when you have a problem. That's when you have a problem. So it's a very interesting dynamic. Which is one of the reasons I started that podcast. Just having those conversations. And Carl, you're only a few months into it. You don't know what the hell you're going to feel in a year from now. From my experience of working with exited entrepreneurs, the entire philosophy in life changes over 12 or can change over 12 months. So you've got to just sort of sit in it for a bit and just go through it, get used to it, watch this space. All right.
Okay. Right. Sorry, I didn't let you go first there, Carl. I cut you off. Now we can probably move on to what people call culture corner.
This is IKEA-like.
Oh, brilliant. Solar panels.
I got solar panels. I got solar panels at home, and oh my God, they're amazing, right? I'm never going to pay for electricity again. They're
in Ireland.
An app. I got my it's amazing. It's incredible. I got this app as well, so my car has been charged off it. But the AI tool on it is so good that it's saying plug in your car now or turn this off. It's just absolutely incredible. But the reason I put the solar panels. Everyone should future-proof themselves and get it. But the company I engaged was through a recommendation. The guy came along. The guys arrived in my house one day, 2 vans. They were all dressed the same. They just went and they put this thing, all the panels up on the top of the house in one afternoon. And then they came back about 2 or 3 weeks later, and then they connected it all, and it's all very neat and tidy, whatever, right? The service was exceptional. How the guys looked, how they behaved, how they spoke to me. They were all on time. It was just amazing. So in the world of if we're talking about AI is going to take over service industries, right? This kind of stuff, right, is going to be so valued. And this is how, if I was doing some kind of a, like they're sparks, basically. They're electricians, right?
Yeah.
Like how to stand out in a crowded place. These guys were absolutely sensationally superb, to the extent that I just went, this is the level of service that every service industry should be at. And they've brought it to bringing solar panels on. And then they have the tech to back it up to make this all really, really special. Just amazing, amazing people.
I think you make a great point there, Carl. In anything which is commoditized, and you could have got those solar panels from anywhere, standing out is really important. I'm always reminded of a close personal friend of mine, Charlie Mullins, who started Pimlico Plumbers in the UK 20 odd years ago. And
Him.
We joke about it. We joke about it, don't we? You've got to turn up on time.
He's
You've
quite
got to send the
character.
invoice
He's a
on
plumber,
time.
Plumbers. But they turn up with a uniform on. They're really, they're really clean. They do that. They tidy up after themselves, but they do turn, basic things. But generally speaking, when you're hiring a plumber, sometimes they don't show up, or they show up late, or they leave a mess. And that's what he did. He charged a premium for it. But you thought, I just need to get my bathroom fixed or something. I don't mind paying 20% more than a going rate because I know they'll deliver on it. Yeah. And he sold for what? I don't know, over 100 million.
170 million or something.
170 million. So he did well. So that's the point. I think that's another thing to think about. Is in a commoditized world, how do you differentiate yourself? And it can be just about the tech you use and literally what you look like when you show up on time. That was that. Talking commoditized worlds, my culture corner this week is a podcast that I've mentioned before, and it's one of my favorites. It's David Senra. David Senra was the original creator of the Founders podcast. He seems to have pivoted a bit more. Because on Founders, what he did was he just basically read out a synopsis or a summary of a book he's read about a founder and an entrepreneur. I think he's still doing that, but he sort of morphed it across to, it's just called David Senra podcast. And he does like a classic podcast interview, but with some serious players. I saw his latest one is Sam Altman from ChatGPT, OpenAI. But the one I tuned into a couple of weeks ago is with Travis Kalanick, who was the founder of Uber. And if you are interested in any way about business building, entrepreneurship, how difficult things can be at sometimes, how you've got to operate at the highest level, what excellence looks like. He ended up getting pushed out of his Uber, when they took institutional investment. And he's doing something completely different now, but it's in robotics, AI. It just sounds freaking mind blowing. But I don't know about you, I get inspired. I listen to someone like that speaking for an hour, and I think, Jesus, when I worry about my problems and the challenges I've had, I think that is nothing compared to some of these guys. So I really liked it. David Senra podcast with Travis Kalanick. Thanks.
Superb. I'll be very quick. I don't know if anyone saw it, but Jimmy Carr was back on the Chris Williamson podcast. I do like Jimmy Carr. I saw him this year. He talks about doing 2 shows a night. That's why he did 300 shows last year. So he does one at 7, I believe, and one at 9:30. So you do need to be there on time. That was superb. I highly recommend that you watch the Jimmy Carr show. And I am now off to the beach to run after my children. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Ultra. Thanks for doing that. Appreciate it. Okay, so I think we are at the end of episode 104, and another episode of Traps slides down the U-bend of Father Time. Please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do leave and post a review on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. It does mean a great deal to us. But until the next time, take care out there. We'll see you on the other side. It's goodbye. Adios from the Trap Pack. Enjoy what's left of your summer. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye. Tech seems to hold up, just about.
Just about.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, well done, Andy.